And today I'm going to tell you about myself. I have prepared a short presentation that it will last only 10 minutes. It's divided in 3 main parts. The first part is about my academic background, the second is specifically about my dissertation, and then to talk about my future plans. So let's begin. Okay, I studied a bachelor's degree in Polytechnical as well as a master's in Polytechnical also. I have earned some distinction, some awards, enough to have good grades. Of course, I have received extra courses, and I have written some papers, and all of them presented in Acapulco in a meeting, in a summer meeting. Okay, then I'm going to talk to you about my dissertation. It was called Competency Model in Hydrothermal System Applying Game Theory. My assessor or my counselor was Dr. Ricardo. I have divided in an introduction, the objective, and some important topics, and finally the conclusions. Okay, the objective of this work was to build and program a model able to use in an optimal way the stored water in hydroelectrical plants to produce electricity. Obviously, taking into account key information like spot energy prices and how to use the stored water. Okay, one of the topics or the information that I use is game theory. This game theory was initially developed by John Nash. This is a mathematician that won the Nobel Prize of Economics in 1994. And when he was studying his PhD, he became a little bit crazy. But in his craziness, he developed this theory. And basically, it's to interpret interaction among companies, human behavior, and in other. Nowadays, it has another application like in war and negotiation between companies and unions, etc. And the most important is this one, the Nash equilibrium. And it's explained that anyone, or well, you cannot, or you are not able to change your options if you are agree with the behavior of others, basically. Okay, hydrothermal systems. This is important because we have to make decisions about using water. For instance, if I use water today, but maybe it doesn't rain enough, we can have a dry year. Obviously, the consequence is in the future we are going to have a deficit of energy. So it's important to develop a model that takes into account those future inputs. So the model consists to take into account current cost and future cost. We have to reduce the cost of fuels, and also we have to be prepared to the future. In this slide, we can see that if we store water today, the current costs are so high because we are using a lot of thermal production. But on the other hand, as well, if we store water today, it means that in the future the cost will be so how can we say, so cheap to produce electricity in the future because we will have available a lot of water. Okay, so we developed a model, a mathematical model to interpret this phenomenon. You can see this is the dam This is the generators. This is the rain, inflow rains, and this is the production or the water that we use to produce electricity, and this can be spills, So this method consists in an object function subject to some restrictions to basically to avoid flooding towns. Well, how can I solve it? With dynamic programming, and basically consists in split a big problem in smaller ones, and then the program that I made generate a lot of solution in backwards, and finally we connect the dots in forward to have an overall solution. Okay, the conclusion of this topic is of the dissertation is that we can use water to reduce cost, or we can use water to increase prices of energy. It's important to have these models because most of the times we just use water to agriculture issues, but also we can affect the price of the electricity with these plants. Okay, my future plans obviously is to go back to Mexico, and how can I pay my loan if you give me the scholarship? Okay, nowadays I work for the Federal Electricity Commission, and the idea is to have or to ask for a permission to do and do the PhD, then come back and work again in the same company, and to give classes in the National Polytechnic Institute. Okay, thanks for your attention.